Chapter 3, Ritornello. You exit the train, relieved that you are on time. You collect your luggage from the baggage car and head towards the cab stand. The platform is rather crowded, and you push your way past large families on holiday and tourists who, for some reason, wish to consult their guidebooks about some architectural feature of the station. You are just...
They're looking for they're looking for the Harry Potter entrance to the Hogwarts train station.
Still about that?
That's 9 3/4. Should be right here.
Yeah, I started keeping a running tally of our requests, by the way, which so far is Aunt Primrose romance trip to Hogwarts.
Oh no!
Are you actually going to send these? Are you actually going to send these to the author?
I posted that today in the main thread.
Okay.
Beautiful.
No response yet.
Darn it!
You are just beginning to ponder pleasant thoughts of the visit to come, when you hear someone calling your name, and you look around, trying to figure out where the sound is coming from. Emerging from behind a smokescreen of exhaust from a departing train, you see a figure walking towards you, coughing and gesturing to get your attention. Who is this unassuming and impressionable person carrying a bright green pear and a bulging picnic basket, nearly jumping up and down with excitement as they approach you? We get to pick this person's gender.
That seems a little odd.
It's pretty common for a lot of choice script stuff where you have romance options so that you can...
No, I get it. It just seems kind of funny to me to be able to tell someone what their gender is.
I mean, just the word manservant makes me giggle, but,
Well, I think I know what option Ben would choose.
The manservant?
I mean, yes, when I pick options for romance options, I generally make them male unless I know that I'm not going to romance them and I just want more diversity.
That's, remarkably well thought out. I'm thoroughly impressed. Most people don't take, dating sims that seriously.
Well, I know, in some other stuff where, there's, the rough-hewn warrior type, and I'm like, I want a female rough-hewn warrior.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is not that.
Everyone wants that.
Sure, manservant.
Okay, a slightly built manservant in livery.
Do we get to choose this person's name?
No, you
Darn.
do not get to choose any other people's names.
Otherwise, there would be clockwork waffle mantis shrimps running all over the place.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, in Hollywood Visionary, you can choose the romance options names. So if you really want to do that in the game at some point...
Oh my gosh. It would be a train wreck.
I have no clue what a Gloucestershire accent sounds like.
You are hailed by this young man eagerly.
Are you Cotswold?
He calls in a strong Gloucestershire accent, which you will have to imagine.
I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm here to greet you.
He takes a bite of the pear. You slow down to see who this new addition to the cast is. You're relatively familiar with most of the old hands at Aunt Primrose's, and are certain that you have never seen him before.
I'm Valentine,
he says, bowing his head deferentially as you approach. You cast a trained eye over his uniform, a tailcoat and striped mustard and pearl gray waistcoat, noting with professional detachment that it is slightly threadbare.
It's an honor to meet you. You're right on time.
Were you sent from Mrs. Patterson's house?
Nope, I was sent by the Cadbury Club. This is my very first job. I was just hired on at Mrs. Primrose Patterson's estate.
Indeed.
Yes, I am her new footman. I'm going to work really hard, and someday I'm going to be a real gentleman's gentleman. I know I can do it.
Valentine looks up at you with eyes of innocence as you attempt to formulate a response, and then before you do, he hits you with the crucial bit of information.
You've been assigned as my mentor. I think it's part of your test for admission into the inner circle.
Interesting. The Cadbury Club seems to have eyes everywhere, and you have heard rumors that at times they have tested prospective members in unusual ways. This, however, is most unorthodox. But after your recent adventure with Regina, you are not prepared to discount any rumors about the inner circle at all. That was fairly unorthodox as well. I hope.
Okay. I mean, I don't see any reason to be anything other than like happy to see this guy. It's like,
Yeah.
we just met him. It's not going to be.
This is crazy. But here's my number, so okay, I'll stop.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's be friends.
Okay, wonderful. Glad to meet you, Valentine. Valentine looks unbelievably pleased.
I've heard stories about you.
He says, studying his shoes, a flush clearly coming over his face. Oh? Do tell.
People say that you're so knowledgeable and generally quite kind. I'm going to work really hard to be as good as you. That's all I ever wanted in life.
Generally quite kind?
Well, we did tell Rory that that one outfit was not very good.
Didn't we dispose of that one outfit?
Yes.
Right. Generally quite kind, except in sartorial matters. I suppose, in some general sense, I can understand how I might assist you to improve your skills and someday become a valet. In principle.
LA?
Not in Britain.
Okay.
In principle. But what precisely am I to do?
Oh, right. I was supposed to give you this.
He hands you an envelope, sealed with wax and bearing the crest of your club, the Cadbury Club for those who serve.
It's my letter of introduction.
You open the letter, and on official Cadbury Club stationery, you read a missive confirming that Valentine has indeed been sent by the Inner Circle to test you. Valentine is described as a promising young man who needs guidance and a role model. The letter stresses that you will be evaluated following Valentine's apprenticeship to you, which will last for 1 month. The letter further notes that Valentine is to be instructed in whatever you deem most important for a servant to be trained in. Well, everything here seems to be in order.
What do you want me to do first?
Valentine says, throwing the pear core away.
I'm ready.
His hands are probably sticky. We could offer to take the suitcases.
So I'll take the suitcases, follow me.
Yeah.
I'll take the suitcases, follow me.
Oh no, please let me help. I can take most of them.
I prefer to carry Mr. Winterman's suitcases myself, you insist.
Please, Cotswold, you must let me help you. I couldn't bear it if you took on all the work. Give me just one.
Let's give him the heavy one, because I feel like the small one is more likely to be one that, like, we would get angered people, like, I don't know. If they pick it up and it's sticky, I don't know. I'm worried about his sticky hands now.
Just give him the portrait.
Just take it.
Oh,
it's already a
right.
mess. Take it.
That would be a great option, actually.
You can't wreck it anymore.
We can add that to our list of requests.
I mean, he's very eager to help, and we are just giving him one, so let's give him the heavy one, I guess.
Okay. As you say, see if you can hoist that heavy one. It contains 2 elephants.
Oh, I didn't know Rory needed those.
Oh dear.
A well-dressed gentleman does not leave home without 2 elephants.
This is something I hadn't realized about Britain.
Yeah, I mean, that was, several decades ago. In more recent years, you only need 1 elephant.
Oh.
Right away, happy to oblige.
Valentine grasps the heaviest suitcase and lifts it up, trying to demonstrate that it is easy for him. However, it is not easy for him, and he staggers slightly, and you wince as it hits the ground. Poor elephants. He looks up to see if you noticed, and then walks quickly with it in case you change your mind. Taking the rest of the bags, You hire a cab and load the bags into it. Don't forget your picnic basket, you say, pointing.
Oh yes, I nearly forgot.
Valentine hefts it into the back seat of the cab. You and Valentine slide into the back of the cab with the picnic basket between you.
I packed us a lunch.
Valentine says.
I wanted to bring you something to thank you in advance for taking me under your wing. I know it's awkward. I don't know what kind of food you like, so I packed a bit of everything.
You watch as Valentine opens the basket and points out the various lunch items in it.
I packed lots of finger sandwiches, and pickled vegetables, and charred peppers stuffed with buttered breadcrumbs, and some hard cheese, and a bottle of cider. Do you like marinated eggplant? I also have some of that, and some baguette and jam, for dessert. You're going to really like this. Some lovely cream puffs. I suppose we can just feast here in the cab.
It looks...
That actually sounds good. Like, I would eat that.
It looks extraordinarily delicious, but it also looks rather messy, and potentially the sort of food that might leave a lingering aroma. He tries to judge from your expression whether or not you are pleased. It's a meaningful food choice!
I think this is like begging you to mess everything up. So I think we should probably play it safe and be tidy and eat later.
I think it would be tidier to eat that later, don't you?
We are supposed to give him guidance, so that's part of our job description.
Yeah.
Oh,
Says Valentine.
tidier. Yes.
And possibly the aroma, though delightful, might not be welcome when we arrive.
I hadn't thought of that.
Remember this lesson for the future, you say.
I think I understand.
Says Valentine.
I think.
The situation is much like that of the pair.
I see. There are a lot of rules regarding food.
Mostly one must maintain cleanliness and eschew stickiness.
I see. I will eschew.
Good.
I just wanted to bring you something nice.
It is appreciated, but Valentine doesn't look so sure. Aww. So you ride along, you talk with Valentine, learning a bit about him. He speaks at length about his 6 brothers and the Cotswolds, where he grew up.
What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? I think we broke it.
I'm sure that's just not based on our name. That's just what it says.
Yeah.
It's still the odds.
Oh,
Just
no.
wait until Valentine talks about his pet mantis shrimp. It's a clockwork waffle mantis shrimp, in fact. It was expected that Valentine would work at his parents' clockwork waffle mantis shrimp shop. However, after his parents' illness, Valentine had to provide for the family and found his way to the city. Taking on a few temporary short-term positions to learn the trade, and joining the Junior Cadbury Club, where he was nominated as most promising. As you talk, Valentine turns his face up to you, looking into your eyes artlessly.
I appreciate your tolerance of me, Cotswold. It is generous of you, and I want to tell you that I appreciate it.
That is kind of you to say. I'm glad to assist. 20 minutes later, you approach the grounds of Ritornello, and the world becomes filled with color as you take in the astonishing palette that autumn has painted the world with. Dark plum, fiery orange, and scarlet everywhere, dotted here and there with russets, pumpkin pie orange-brown, and a deeper gingerbread brown. Even from inside the cab, you fancy that you can hear the rustling of the leaves, all dancing slightly with the wind. Valentine sits next to you, studying your posture, and trying to mimic the way you are sitting. He straightens up and folds his hands in his lap.
I was just wondering,
Valentine says,
what would you say the most important part of being a good gentleman's servant is, for you? I mean, what's the most important thing for me to work on?
An excellent question. I would say the most important thing is...
Good luck, Emily.
I think I'd choose number 2.
Solving problems on your own without bothering your employer.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It does seem most in character for, the kind of route that we've been taking.
Right.
We're a little bit more independent-minded, but we don't just boss him around either. We're not shaping him,
That makes a lot of sense.
says Valentine.
I'm still working on that. I just feel like it's important to check in with my employer when something unexpected comes up.
Novices often do feel that way, but this skill is what distinguishes a great servant from a merely tolerable one. One's employer hires one in order to make life smoother, to have someone to remove obstacles in their path before the obstacle can prove a stumbling block.
I think I understand.
And therefore, you say, speaking with some gusto, you must never rest. You must watch out for all opportunities to make life just a bit easier. That is what you will do when, someday, you ascend to the lofty heights of becoming a valet. But even in your relatively lowly current position, you will, no doubt, have many opportunities to remove problems on your own initiative.
I see.
Valentine thinks for a while.
But surely there must be times when your employer, despite all of your work, contrives to make his or her life difficult?
Oh my, yes, you say. Try as you may to solve their problems, they will often manage to create more.
Tell me, what do you do then?
What do you respond?
Apparently, Callie's choice is to cry.
Oh
Is that an
no,
option?
I don't see that.
Oh no. I would go with number 3 probably just because I don't want to like be a bad secret keeper person. I don't want to just rat on my employer because we're kind of in love with him.
I mean, yeah, we've
We
so
don't
far
want to. We don't want him to hate us.
we have initiated 2 romances, yes. I cannot tell you anything specific, but I will give you the broad outlines. I say, knowing that it may be somewhat more difficult to either amuse or instruct Valentine in that way.
Oh, all right. I'm eager to hear any information at all that you think will help.
You recall an incident in which Rory and his cousin Mopsie became convinced that they needed to break into Aunt Primrose's desk drawer in order to win a foolish wager, and Rory ended up nearly falling out of a 3rd-story window. Using assumed names and claiming this happened to a former employer, you tell the story, although it is, of course, difficult to tell a lively story and remember to hide telltale details to protect those you are talking about. Valentine listens, quite interested. What is your goal in telling this story?
I would go with the third one.
To offer some memorable tips to aid Valentine in his remembering proper behavior.
Yeah, because I mean, he was asking for tips, so
Give him the
we're
tips.
giving tips.
Right. A good story can help one to remember proper behavior, and you are determined to craft your narrative such that Valentine remembers how best to respond in a crisis. Crisis? Crisis.
Crisis.
How best to respond in a crisis. That's a crisis in which Christ
Crisis.
appears. I don't know.
A Christ crisis. I love it.
What about how best to respond in a chrysalis?
Yeah, that's what he really needs to know.
do nothing?
Gradually reform your body so that you grow wings.
Cool.
Just the important things in life.
A good valet must have wings.
That's how you get everywhere so darn fast.
You can see as you speak that you have utterly captured Valentine's imagination, and he gasps and nods at all the right places.
He's imagining being a butterfly.
Yeah. That's how he saved Rory from the fall.
Oh, that makes sense.
By the end, you
With
are...
our special wings.
Exactly. By the end, you are convinced that you have taught Valentine a number of valuable lessons that will not soon be forgotten about the nature of proper service. Aunt Primrose's estate is surrounded by massive oak trees, dressed in vivid lemon yellows, with just a few red-brown oak leaves dotting the ground to mildly suggest that this beauty might come to an end someday, but not soon. The cab stops at the green gates, announcing that this is Ritornello, where two servants bar the way. They examine the cab carefully, presumably ensuring that Figs is not hiding in the back seat, and then wave you through. I wonder if that's happened.
Oh dear.
The cab curves around the great circular driveway with a white marble statue in the center of it in the shape of the goddess Minerva emerging from Jupiter's forehead. Wow.
Ew.
That's
Nasty.
Impressive?
yeah, that's
A word.
elaborate, I guess.
You pay the fellow over Valentine's objections and are about to collect the luggage when you hear someone running from behind you, and then the world goes dark.
That's great. I love it when that happens.
Yeah, Callie.
I don't know whose voice it is.
I'm
A
going to
high-pitched
guess
and
that it's.
giggling voice.
I'm going to guess that it's Mopsie.
Yes!
Calls a high-pitched and giggling voice.
Yes, Cotswold!
What's our guess?
Helen of Troy!
Oh yeah.
Gotta be classy. No, someone even more beautiful!
She laughs, releasing you.
Did you really think I was Helen of Troy? Did you?
Yeah, sure. Mopsie is looking lovely as ever in a twirly pink and purple floral chiffon dress with a large floppy bow at the neck and 6 big cloth-covered buttons down the front. Her hair is somewhat wild, an explosion of curls and tendrils. She is flushed, probably from charging at you from behind. As always, Mopsie is a ray of sunshine. She beams to see you. You see Valentine directing some of Aunt Primrose's help to take the luggage up to Mr. Wintermint's room. For a moment, you consider whether Valentine needs help, but soon realize that Mopsie will not brook any distractions.
Oh, Cotswold, Cotswold, Cotswold!
She says.
I can't believe you're here. I just can't believe it. You're here at last.
I am.
And we'll spend ever so much time together.
So I'm just gonna see if I think she's probably. Yep.
Oh, 100%! We did it, guys. We maxed out our relationship.
She loved our sassy joke.
Okay. Valentine clears his throat.
I think I'll go ahead in with the luggage and make my presence known to the household staff. I'll see you soon, Cotswold, and thank you for your company.
You bid Valentine farewell as Mopsie waves her hands in increasingly large circles to get your attention.
Did you happen to see dear Figaro on your journey?
She looks up at you with large liquid eyes and her lower lip starts to quiver. I did see the gentleman in question.
I believe he goes by Figs among his friends.
Mopsie says, and a tear starts to swell and roll. Indeed.
Did he mention me?
How do you feel about dewy brows and the kissing thereof?
I mean, I am not opposed to it, but I also don't want Mopsie to just, instantly hate us.
From the short bit of her personality that I've seen, I think, she'd actually be kind of delighted by the first option. But then again, I was grossly wrong about the Colonel Fire Snuff situation. So we can go with the second one to be safe if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
He spoke of you with obvious affection and longing.
Of course he did.
Mopsie says comfortably.
I would imagine he speaks of nothing else. I feel terrible for him. And I feel terrible for myself. I'm like a bird in... What is that thing that birds are in?
Gilded cages.
Yes, like a bird in a gilded cage. But I know you will free me, Cotswold. You will help us be together. For who can stand in the way of true love?
How exactly do you want me to help? You ask. Rory did seem to desire that Figs and Mopsie be united, but the situation appears rather difficult. I believe that your aunt is firmly opposed.
I don't know,
she says, and then begins to seriously weep, and without warning dives into your chest, moistening you considerably. How do you respond?
Just pat her back. That's probably what she needs.
I simply hold her and pat her back parentally.
Yes.
You say nothing at all. You just hug her and rock back and forth slightly. They're on the lava. I did not read that right. How did I get lava?
On the lava.
Yes, the floor is lava.
So that's what we're doing.
Sure. You rock back and forth slightly. They're on the lava while she cries.
I mean, no wonder she's crying.
I mean, I'd cry too at that point.
It takes a long time and several handkerchiefs worth of sobbing and shrieking. No wonder she's shrieking.
Well, yeah, lava makes you shriek.
No words were exchanged, but she knows you understand. You are here for her now, at the moment of crisis. Lava crisis. And you... Sorry.
Well, the floor is lava, Ben, so...
And you will be here for her, come what may. She looks up at you and finally speaks.
I couldn't do this without you, Cotswold. I think I was waiting for you to get here, to have that cry. Now it's all out. I'm myself again.
A look of frightening determination crosses her face, but she immediately resettles it into the innocent visage you know so well. I'm happy that I could be here for you.
Can we talk later?
Always, Mopsie. She wipes her eyes and nose and then, gathering her equilibrium, walks into the house. As Mopsie's problems have been dealt with, for the moment anyway, you decide that it would be best to find Rory and let him know that you have arrived. You walk into the house, glad to finally be here. Carlington, Aunt Primrose's imposing butler, greets you with a slight inclination of the head. Who wants to be an imposing butler? As far as I recall, he is a fairly bit character who does recur occasionally because he's around. But I don't think he's ever major, no. But he'll be back.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator, he'll be back.
A recurring bit character.
Oh, it would be so out of left field, but now I kind of want him to have a Schwarzenegger voice.
Do it!
Do I have to do a Schwarzenegger voice every game we do? Is that a new requirement?
I mean, I think we've omitted it in
We've
every
missed a
single
couple.
game except one. So,
But it'd be a nice callback to that.
yes.
Yes.
For new viewers, we are referring to Count Lucanor.
You forgot the name for a minute.
Our
Wow.
first game. That was like 2 seconds. That was just long enough to say
Just long enough to say but not long enough to save you from being ridiculed.
I have the meanest friends.
Everyone cries for Ben. Anyway.
That's right, viewers. For Arnold Schwarzenegger protagonist goodness, watch Count Lucanor, our first Let's Play. Featuring a little boy who inexplicably has a grown adult man voice. Done by
I love
Callie.
Why, thank you. My very bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. How do you do, Cotswold? I'm gonna make it like a little more amped up than I did the last time, though.
Well, he's actually gone through puberty, so...
Yes. How do you do, Cotswold?
Good to see
A very intense boy.
Good to see you, Carlington.
You will find Mr. Wintermint staying in the oak room on the second floor. Third door on your left.
Thank you, Carlington.
Your suitcases are just there by the art gallery. You may wish to take them upstairs.
Certainly. We're so unflappable. We just... That's what he sounds
We don't even
like.
care if this guy is, like, yelling at us. I am shouting basic instructions at you.
You leave Carlington and walk across the main hall to the art gallery at the end of the corridor. Aunt Primrose's art gallery is a sunny display area for the various paintings, etchings, and sculptures she has collected over the years. Your suitcases are piled unceremoniously at the center of the room. You shake your head, reminding yourself to teach Valentine the importance of bringing the luggage straight up to the room. You start to lift the suitcases when you notice the sealed tube with Figgs's awful portrait of Aunt Primrose in it. Ah, yes.
Yikes.
You suppose you did say that you would hang the portrait up, the painting up in the art gallery here, didn't you? Well, here you are, and here's the gallery, and here's the painting. What would be best to do? We can tell Rory, we can destroy the painting, or we can hang it up.
I, for one, think that we need to put up this terrible painting because we need to say that it's art.
We gave our word.
Okay.
Also, aesthetic or death, and sometimes both. So, art!
Aesthetic is death?
Oh, yes.
Oh no. Remember,
Yes.
remember, choose how you will die.
Yes.
Or how do you choose to
How
die?
do you choose to die?
By hanging Figgs's painting.
Yes.
This is how we choose to die. We gotta help this young artist.
The die is cast. I will keep my word and hang the painting up in the gallery, come what may. Naturally, you will keep your word and hang the painting, as you promised. If Figgs needs the painting to be hung up on the wall, then hung on the wall it shall be. Luckily, one of the paintings on the wall, a moody seascape, is about the right size and shape as Figgs's creation, and it's a simple matter of inserting the portrait on top of the seascape. You are just adjusting the painting when you are startled by a shout behind you. Fire snuff!
Dun dun dun!
Swagger stick man.
I have to act like I'm kind of like chewing gum for a second before I can do this voice. Who's in here?
It is Colonel Firesnuff, and he enters the room.
You.
He cries upon seeing you. He clenches his fists as if to resume your recent tussle.
What are you doing, Philistine? You Philistine. One does not touch a priceless work of art. All of these are pretty good.
I snootily claim to be performing maintenance on the painting. I play dumb, or I try to convince him that he's seeing things.
I kind of like the maintenance one, but you'd have to do a really snooty voice, Ben.
Oh, I guess I can see how snooty I can be.
I love it. I love it.
You give him an icy look. Manhandling. Is that what you believe is going on here?
I do. I would not rule out thievery as well.
I'm merely adjusting this portrait so that it hangs evenly. Do you think that paintings hang evenly by accident?
Well, I suppose I never thought about it before.
Exactly, you say. Because people like me, trained in curation, are at work. Before you accuse Colonel Firesnuff, why not consider that there may be some good in this world, that people may have benevolent motives?
I suppose I owe you an apology.
He says grudgingly.
I was mistaken.
I think I've turned into a kind of snooty that does not fit the setting, but oh well.
You're wonderful.
Think nothing of it, you say. I am used to being misjudged by the small-minded, present company excluded, of course. With a humbled but still sour look, he exits the gallery. We succeeded at something, you guys.
Dun,
Wow.
dun, dun. Even if it was just putting up a bad painting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
he
haven't
did-
gotten the reaction scene yet.
He did not
Oh,
comment
okay.
on that at all.
He doesn't understand art, and he knows he doesn't understand art, so he's like backing down, eating some of that humble pie.
You exhale and then make some final adjustments to Figg's portrait so that the seascape does not show underneath it. It was showing when Friar Snuff looked. He just thought, well, art, one painting on top of another, that's probably more.
Modern art, don't understand.
It's probably just used to paintings of hunting scenes.
Well, if it's what the kids are into, I don't know. I feel like that's what you would say. Yeah.
You tote all of the luggage upstairs and locate the oak room, certainly one of the more luxurious of the guest suites in Ritornello.
I literally just pictured the place from Knox. I hope you know that.
I mean,
Yeah, me too.
yes.
It's what it is. Helmet's in there.
It's a nice... It would be nice, anyway. I mean...
Probably got World Street Fair food. Oh.
I mean, I guess
burger bar.
very convenient for Rory. He just can get food whenever he wants.
Rory likes its east-facing patio, and that is where you find him, looking out at the world, picking at a plate of sliced apples and berries, and sipping a ginger ale.
He has food. Helmet gave it to him. Dun, 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 dun.
I have arrived, sir.
And perfectly punctual, as usual. Now, let us talk while you prepare my person for public consumption. My fox hunting outfit, if you please. All went well with the train, I assume?
The trip went reasonably well. Rory places 2 cushions on the divan and lies down with his feet on the cushions, hands folded under his head.
Tell me about your journey. Omit no detail, however slight.
Oh no.
While to the untrained eye, Rory seems content, your long years with him and your trained eye lead to the conclusion that Rory is in fact ill at ease. Restless and anxious are the words that come to mind. There are, of course, many ways to tell the tale of your recent train trip. You could try to make it a tale of dashing adventure, emphasizing your personal prowess and keen wit. So much personal prowess, we ate that letter like a boss.
Yes.
You could offer amusing anecdotes. I can't think of anything. Entertaining Rory with all your absurd encounters? What absurd encounters? Everybody knows that Spinosaurus driving cars is normal.
Of course.
Making the narrative as witty as possible, trying to make Rory laugh. Another option could be to offer an instructive lecture. What kind of instructive lesson could we get out of that? Or perhaps...
Don't do what we did.
Oh, right.
Cautionary tale for Rory.
Or perhaps you might offer a relatively tame version of your trip in order to relax Rory.
I think the witty repartee could be pretty interesting.
I offer witty repartee. Apparently the highly proper and slightly smug account includes moral instruction and finger-wagging.
Oh.
You offer Rory a sparkling and witty version of your journey, relaying the most interesting and stimulating parts of some of the conversations you had. As Rory listens with interest, frequently interrupting with questions, you regale Rory with descriptions of your verbal fencing with the motorcyclist housekeeper's secret agent, Mrs. Regina Wilhelmina, and her accent changes.
Yes.
The by-the-book Detective Inspector Ambrose, and his offer to die.
His offer to die.
The hapless Figs, the irascible Colonel Firesnuff, and your sudden trainee, young Valentine.
Cotswold, if I were not convinced of your tremendous brain before, I am now. Your skill at rhetoric was very much good. There, you see? I can't hope to reach your heights.
Thank you, sir. Rory suddenly jumps up.
Oh, Cotswold, I've just remembered. What about the birthday gift for Aunt Primrose?
No! No!
can't stop laughing.
Don't ask about it, Rory.
Ben laughs evilly in the background.
I'm not even forcing it. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm crying, actually.
Oh, we made you cry?
Laughter, tears.
Deep breath, deep breath.
I guess I'm mean too, so it balances out. Okay, Rory looks through the luggage in search of it. He touches one of the bags and then makes a strange expression.
May I ask, just as a matter of interest, why some of my luggage appears to have a certain sticky quality? Far-reaching consequences. We're running into all of them right now. Did you enjoy a caramel along the way by any chance?
Probably pear juice, I'm afraid. You say, thinking of the pear Valentine was eating. You fetch a moist cloth and hand it to Rory.
See, problem solved.
I do not especially care for sticky bags or sticky hands, Cotswold.
Nor do I.
It is a sensation that is among my least favorites.
Duly noted, sir. Rory grimaces and shakes his head. Ah, yes, the birthday gift, you say. You tensely reach into one of the bags and pull out the needlepoint. It gets worse. As you smooth it out, however, you notice a significant problem. The needlepoint that you had thought in your rush to purchase something said, "God bless this home." In fact, reads, "God bless this home." Oh, you say, examining the words again. Yes, it definitely says, "Fless."
This is the worst gift ever.
That doesn't look much like a peridot hair stick,
says Rory.
What have you got there?
I'm afraid it is a needlepoint, you say. The peridot hair stick was unobtainable.
A needlepoint? Let me see it.
Are we going to be honest about Fless? Are we going to just show it quickly and hope he doesn't see it? Or are we going to try to convince him that it's supposed to be Fless?
I think we should do that.
The third one?
Yes. I mean, that's the best hope that we have.
Okay! I make a compelling case that Fless is an actual word and indeed is supposed to be there. Because when you're in a bad situation, just dig yourself in deeper. Life lessons. Yeah. There you are, sir. A lovely needlepoint. Rory examines it carefully, then looks up at you quizzically.
See, I mean, this is the right answer. Maybe not for traditional reasons, but...
God bless this home,
he says. Yes, sir?
Fless.
Of course.
You understand that that is spelled incorrectly?
Oh, no, sir.
What?
Oh, I see. You assumed it was supposed to say bless. That's funny. No, this is a flessing needlepoint. It's an old tradition back from Celtic times. To flesson home is to rid it of malign spirits.
Is that so?
Yes, indeed. I can offer you the etymology if you desire. It comes from the Old Frisian. God bless this home.
Never mind about Old Frisian,
says Rory, turning the needlepoint this way and that.
It's a most erudite sentiment, it seems to me.
I thought it was fitting for such a sophisticated woman like Mrs. Patterson.
I should have paid attention at school.
Rory finally says, tucking the needlepoint into his jacket.
Yes.
So
yes, you should have.